Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back. So today is the day where we finish talking about the Star Wars films, Skywalker Saga, as it's known, and we're ending with Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So this is the last film in the last trilogy. Um, Came out in 2019. And yeah, I mean this film, like, there was a tumultuous path getting to this film. So like the original
Mm.
plan was that I think it was Colin Trevorrow was supposed to direct this film. He had written a script, and then they fired him, basically.
Seems
So
pretty on brand.
so the Last Jedi came out, and like it's kind of funny too because like basically they were really happy with the Last Jedi, like the internal Lucasfilm people. They're like, oh, this movie's great, and it was shot on time, and there was no drama on set, and it was under budget, and they were all excited. And then people saw it, and then the internet went insane, went totally insane. Like that's the only way I could really describe it. Um, and they attacked this film mercilessly to this day. Like it's not over. Like
Well,
yeah.
when
Go
you said
ahead.
it came out in 2019, for some reason my brain was like, no. I thought it came
Yeah.
out earlier than that for whatever reason. And I think it doesn't help that if it came out in 2019, people then had the pandemic to once again keep them inside and have them be angry about something because everyone was streaming, everyone was, stuck a lot in lockdown. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that probably didn't help it either. I'm assuming it probably had some sort of Christmas release because I feel like Star
It
Wars
did.
movies tend, yeah. So then Christmas happened, and then immediately 3 months later, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
oh shit.
So not the best way to leave things off, basically. Yeah, I mean this whole situation, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, has really left sort of a stain on the franchise, just in terms of the discourse of the fandom, because it's just become like absolutely cutthroat. Like this was like the height of the just people being pissed off, really, really pissed off. Yeah, so like I was saying, so they fired Trevorrow, and then they basically scrambled, and then they brought JJ back sort of last minute, and he was basically supposed to save the save the trilogy. We'll kind of talk about,
No pressure, JJ.
yeah. Yeah, a very unenviable position. It's like, yeah, so we had no plan, and everyone's pissed, so yeah, you fix it. I mean, that was basically what happened with this situation. What's kind of interesting is like, so at some point, I think it was last year, or maybe 2020, like the script for the original version of this leaked. It was going to be called, I think it was going to be called The Duel of Fates, was the title. And there was some interesting stuff in it. There was some stuff that was kind of not good. I mean, Trevorrow, his track record is kind of spotty.
I was gonna
I'd
say, I
say.
feel like he's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I mean, even the hits are like, they're not well written, but they make money. That's the way I would describe them. I don't know if you've seen any of the Jurassic World films.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, so he's had a hand in all of them, and they're all like, I mean, to me, none of them. I mean, there's no Jurassic Park film that touches the first film.
It's all flair, no substance, kind of a thing.
All of them are inferior, but like at this point, the whole franchise is basically just like, hey, so there was this movie, 30 years ago that justified us for having, like, basically the whole franchise is justification for having dinosaurs interact with people at this point. And
Yeah.
from there, it's just like, okay, what are we gonna do? What's the next dinosaur that's gonna kill people, and what's the next dinosaur we're gonna try and sell a toy to children for?
Yeah.
And on a certain level, like this kind of, dinosaurs are hella cool. Like,
Oh yeah. I love
when I was a
dinosaurs.
kid, I loved dinosaurs, and then that movie came out, and I was like, oh my god!
Oh my god, no! There's no feeling that replaces, like, I still get the same giddy, childish feelings whenever I hear that music come up for the first time. The opening I think it's John Williams' score.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course it's John Williams. And it's just like, whoa, and it's kind of like a hum almost, and then, oh man, I'm getting chills.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
nothing
it's
comes
great.
close. Like I said, it's all flair, no substance, and the characters aren't compelling. And it's like, then they try and like reel you in by like, oh well, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, you
Laura
recognize
Dern.
these names, and I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to do anything with them, so why should I care?
In the third one, they're really playing up that whole relationship, the relationship that Laura Dern and what's his name have. Like, you know, like basically in the sequels they kind of like pull them apart. But then in the third one they're like, oh, maybe they're gonna get back together like again. And they're like in their 50s
She was
or
married
60s
and
or
had
whatever.
babies and like in
Oh well, that doesn't matter to the like if they're gonna fan service, they're gonna fan service
Oh
and like.
no. The thing is, it's totally natural for them to have grown apart. They had nothing in common besides their passion for paleontology and dinosaurs. Like, that's it. She wanted babies, he didn't. That will literally ruin a relationship. It
Yeah,
makes complete
not for
sense
real.
that they are not together.
He hated
Not to mention,
kids.
there's also some kind of like there's some kind of like age difference as well, which
There.
could be he's set in
Yeah.
his ways. She's young and she wants to have a family. And he's just like, nah. And then they go through this horrific traumatic experience together, and that's the only thing that might glue them back together. But no, that's not a sustainable relationship. That's just my hot take on Ellie Sattler and Dr. Grant's relationship. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. So his track record is pretty spotty, I'd say.
I would agree.
I'd say it's spotty, and I mean, so I don't think like changing pace was like the wrong thing, but this has become the problem with this trilogy. Like we kind of spoke at the beginning where they kind of fast tracked this. They gave them a date and they weren't really prepared, so they had to like switch writers. And now in this film, like you see the cumulative effect of like not of them like fast tracking this series and just saying, hey, this is our date, we're gonna meet it. You get the
parts of it feel like one section was written by one person and then the person who wrote the next section didn't read the previous section. It feels very disjointed like that sometimes, and it just doesn't I personally think it's a very weak film.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Each one feels like the person was like, well, fuck whatever came before me.
This is my turn to do Star Wars. I'm going to do it my way. Fuck everybody else. You actually should have some peer review. And maybe there was too much peer review. Maybe there was too many people like having their fingers in all of these pies that it just couldn't come together. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that happen, especially Rose and Finn's plot in The Last Jedi. I'm like, you could have cut that down to like 10 minutes. Like, they didn't. I don't know how they're able to leave the ship so easily when there's death knocking literally at their door every time we cut back to the rebellion. But they hop on a thing and they're gone. And they can just go and do their own freaking thing. And I'm just like, that's
and then they come back and
crazy.
It's not a pro. It's like, what?
Yeah, nobody's. It's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
and again, that whole plot, the reason was to sell people on the Reylo.
Yeah, that's the only reason why that whole like going to the casino and finding the code breaker and doing all this dumb shit. That's the only reason why these two characters, who are people of color, by the way, get wasted in the movie.
Yeah.
So we got two white
get
people
the B
have
story.
a romance. Yeah, you guys get the B story while our two pretty attractive white people have a love story.
Yeah.
Interesting how that works.
Yeah, they threw away that Ray and Finn romance like very quickly. They're like, oh, no more of this. Yikes.
Yeah. So
anyway,
it's awful.
So yeah, oh boy, this film is a lot of fun. So in the crawl it starts with like the dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of late Emperor Palpatine. So this broadcast, you can actually hear it. The message is out there somewhere. It's not in this film, but it is out there somewhere. Do you have a guess as to where this message played? Like the actual, like within the text, the canonical thing that Palpatine says. Like it's not in the movie, but there's some exterior thing in our real world that they played this message on. Can you? Is
like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube too obvious? Was it Reddit?
You're close. But like, think of like a video game. I'll give you that.
A video game?
Yeah, think of a video game. Think of a video game that like teenagers play.
Call of Duty? I actually don't know that much about it. Was it Minecraft?
Closer. So it was played on Fortnite.
Why? It makes more sense to do it on Facebook or Twitter or Reddit.
Yeah.
Actually, Reddit makes the most sense. That's where all of the fan theories go to die.
Yeah, no, but yeah, they played it on Fortnite. That's the only place you can see this message, like what he actually said.
Does Disney own Fortnite?
No, I don't think so. I
don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of stuff on there. It's just they use it as a way to promote stuff. But to me, what's kind of weird is that you would put it there, and you would not put it in the film or put it somewhere else. Like it's only on Fortnite. I don't know. It's
if that's how they want to advertise, then
yeah.
okay,
This is the beginning. But... This is the beginning of a lot of questionable decisions. So then we see Kylo. He's on some planet, was what it looks like, and he's killing a bunch of these dudes that are dressed very interestingly. And he's slicing them up, which is kind of fun. He's there with some stormtroopers, and they're taking people out. And then he gets this object, this like little kind of like a pyramid shaped object, and we see him navigating into the unknown regions, and then he ends up on Exegol. So this is my other problem. I think we've kind of talked about this before, but like, do we have any idea of what planet, like what, when you looked at this first scene, like where did you think this took place?
Just some random planet.
Just some random planet, yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem is that was Mustafar. They were on Mustafar. Now, there's a whole nother weird reason why Mustafar looked the way it looked when I went into it. There's some crazy canon stuff. But if they're on Mustafar, like, they could have at least showed us, like, Vader's castle or something that makes us know it's Mustafar. Because Mustafar is actually really interesting in the way what they've done with it in these new films, like with Rogue One.
You're saying that in the beginning he's supposed to be on Mustafar, and then he goes to Exegol, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But it just looks like another random.
Well, that would make more sense why this object is there. It would add more context to why he thought it would be there or something. Because at this point, we really don't know what he's doing. I don't know. Something was lacking in that department then, because I feel like that would have made more sense. Instead of us just thinking, oh, well, he just found it.
Yeah, he just found it. He just killed some people and found it.
It's like, okay, why is it like, See, you can drop an audience into the middle of a story, and that's fine, because obviously this is the middle of a journey that he's going on, some kind of quest or some shit.
Yeah.
But context is necessary, I feel like, sometimes, especially to fans who can recognize a place very easily based on just a few things. I just don't know why you wouldn't have said they were on Mustafar.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too. So again, I think that they just needed to show some type of a shot of Vader's castle, and then we would have gotten it. Like, oh, he's on Mustafar.
Okay, that's.
And Vader's castle is hella cool. Like, that's it. Like,
yeah.
And he takes the little Sith wayfinder, and then we go on to the next thing that he's doing. The other thing too is, like, this is probably not as important, but the people he were killing were Sith. They're part of a Sith cult that, like, basically they venerated Vader after he died and even during his life. And there's some other stuff apparently in some other video game. Him and this cult, they try to bring what's her name back to life using some Sith trickery. His wife. So
Padme?
it's kind of, they tried to bring Padme back to life because he's obsessed.
Because Kylo just wants to fuck his grandmother or something?
No, Vader tried to bring him back.
Oh, Vader tried. I thought you were saying that Kylo and these cult members were trying to bring Padme back. Who fucking cares about Padme?
Kylo is killing the cult members. That's what he's doing in the scene. He's chopping them up. Like, he's killing them because they stand in his way. But yeah, Vader and them, I guess, tried to bring Padme back, which seems like an interesting story for another time, as Maz Kanata says. But yeah, so there's a lot going on here, but we don't get any of it. Right? Like,
I didn't know that there was so much going on until you just told me. I just thought he was killing weirdos and rogues.
I know, right? It just comes off as he's just chopping people up, and it doesn't matter at all.
Well, as a Sith is one to do, I guess that makes some kind of sense.
So yeah, and the thing too is, like, I think this is another thing that's not very well articulated, is that, and then ironically, they totally flip it on its head in this film. Like, Kylo Ren was never a Sith before this film. He was never a Sith.
Like one.
He does, yeah. I mean, he is a dark Force user. Like he is not a good dude, but he is not a Sith. Like him.
Are they
and
just trying to move away from like the Sith? Are they rebranding themselves like the First Order did? Like, what are you?
You
then?
know, again, it's not really. I feel like that's something that's answered in like a comic or something. I couldn't tell you based on these films, like to
Wow.
be honest. But I can tell you for sure that he is not a Sith. Like up until this film, he is not a Sith. Snoke was not a Sith. They were not Sith. They kind of cosplayed as it. They used some of the same sort of iconography and I guess you could say philosophy, but they were not Sith. And
Well,
again, in the scene, he's killing Sith. He's chopping them up.
I mean, like maybe it's just more of a. I mean, just like with any, because I think we can say that it is kind of like a religion. You know, the Force, they stuff like that. They are literally like holy ghosts, basically, that come back from the dead. They're deified in their own ways. Yeah, so maybe it's just like a branch off of Sithiness, Sithdom. I don't know, because like there's like countless branches of Christianity, so maybe it has just something like that. But I don't know what else I was supposed to think he was if they're not calling him Sith. You know what I mean? Like just for me,
I totally know what you mean.
Like, what else am I supposed to call him then? Like, dark
because they
Force
never
user? That's kind of lame. Like,
they never articulate what they are or like what their philosophy is. You know, they're just but they act exactly like Sith, exactly like Sith to us. You know, so there's still this Sith Jedi dichotomy.
So it's like the fascists who say they aren't fascists.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm not wearing a Nazi uniform. I'm just saying all the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So then Kylo arrives on Exegol, and he descends into the Sith temple, and he's confronted by Palpatine, or he confronts Palpatine, and then we get one of the best. Oh my god! I remember like the first time I saw this, because I saw this sort of out of context before I saw the movie. I was like, "This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen." So they have these tanks, and these tanks have Snoke clones inside of them, like multiple.
There's no explanation. Maybe you can tell me that there's an explanation in like some other spec script or in a comic or something. But when I saw that for the first time, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this information except be like, oh, ooh, do you want me to just go ooh and ah at it? Like, what is the point of having Snoke babies in a jar? Except that it's gross.
It's unbelievable. Like, just the fact that you do that is such a massive cop-out. Like, it's just a massive cop-out. So it's like basically it turns everything that they did before into a misdirect.
Yeah, this whole movie's a cop-out. This movie does that consistently with every revelation. It's just a cop-out.
It's a cop-out, yeah.
Literally every single revelation in this movie is a cop-out. It's just a complete pussified bitch fest, and I can't stand it.
So basically, like, we're watching this first film, and now we realize, the whole time that dude was just a clone, just a pointless clone, a puppet. like what the fuck?
It's just
I created Snoke.
It's like, okay, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you freaky deaky made in a jar and are like hanging out with them. It
just doesn't make any sense. But like, so they make Snoke in a jar. They have him corrupt Kylo, but they expected him to kill him. Like, what was the end game?
Yeah, like, or did Snoke just go his own way? Or then why wasn't Palpatine controlling him? But why didn't Palpatine just do it himself, this lazy fuck? Like, why didn't he just do it himself? It's like, no, I have to manipulate everyone from the shadows. I knew you would come to me. I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm sorry. I hate this whole thing in movies where, like, I knew you would do this. And I'm like, no, you didn't. There's no possible way that you could just know. Okay, I get that it's different in Star Wars because the Force and there's prophecy that people forget about and not care about after a while. But it's just like, no, people have free will and they can surprise you all the fucking time. Yeah. So
I don't know. Like, this scene to me single-handedly like undermines the entire trilogy in a lot of ways. Unfortunately. And they're gonna do more. That's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning, folks. We're switching gears. Full throttle.
I'm not even sure which one is the worst, this or the next revelation. But this is pretty bad. So the other thing that's really bad about the Snoke in a jar shit is that they're now actually trying to justify it in the other like material. Like they are literally justifying it in the Mandalorian. Like they're actually
Snoke
doing
specifically, or just the cloning stuff.
Well, basically the idea is that you can clone someone, but how do you clone someone with force sensitivity?
I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's because if you want just like an army of mindless, force-sensitive drones to go and do your bidding, I mean, that's pretty intimidating. That's pretty powerful. But I never got the impression. Wait, Snoke did have force powers, didn't he?
He did. Yes,
he did. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're doing it with dark force magic, because it is basically just magic. If you're doing it with dark force magic, maybe that explains why Snoke came out all fucked up. I mean, it's true. I mean, like if you like even in like real life magic, if you perform dark magic, shit's gonna get fucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you shouldn't curse people, and that's why you shouldn't fuck around with dark shit. If you believe in that sort of thing, I am very skeptical.
So yeah, this also doesn't even like the next thing too is, oh yeah, by the way, Palpatine is back. And it's like, why the fuck is he back? Like we haven't seen him at all in the first two films in this trilogy. And he's just back. It's like, what? And so then they dropped this great line from the prequels, the dark side of the force is the pathway to many abilities considered unnatural. So that justifies why he's back. That's it. We hand wave it away.
It doesn't though. It doesn't. It doesn't. I'm sick and tired of him. I am sick and fucking tired of Palpatine. 100%. He was cool when he was just the evil emperor and granted, we didn't see Palpatine or we didn't see the Emperor until Return of the Jedi. We didn't actually like physically see him in person until Return of the Jedi. In Empire,
he's just a dude on a screen.
Yeah, he's just a dude on a screen.
We see him over Skype, and that's it.
Yeah, we see him on Skype and shit. And then he's just like, "Oh, the Emperor's coming here," and he's just like this hunched over like Skeletor fucking guy. Mm-hmm. But at least we knew he existed. And now you just throw in Palpatine at the last minute because because you can't think of an original fucking idea.
And the thing is too, like, it's pretty clear that based on the second film, they wanted Kylo to be the supreme leader, to be the big bad guy in the last film, and that should have been the confrontation. Like basically, it should have been Rey and Kylo fighting. Should have been the climax of the film.
Yeah, give me another badass Duel of the Fates shit. Bring that shit back, and let's have a cool fight between the good character and the one who's obviously bad. I'm fine with reusing that. I'm totally fine because I'm gonna get a cool lightsaber fight and some badass John Williams music to go along with it. But no, we just have to just make him a sad emo boy.
Oh yeah, the redemption arc is coming.
Also, really quick, I know this is going to sound really petty and I'm getting a little off topic, but it's been bugging me since I thought of it this morning. What the fuck did the Knights of Ren do?
Oh my god.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Why was he running around running all of these dark, sidey errands, getting triangles and shit with like, or pyramids and shit with like just regular run-of-the-mill stormtroopers? Why wasn't he using the Knights of Ren?
The Knights of Ren is one of the most, like, it's just so sad because they, like, you see them in that flashback in the first movie.
They
and
look
like,
so cool.
They look so cool, and they're totally wasted in this trilogy. Totally
and the Knights of Ren, it sounds so cool. It sounds medieval. Yeah. It sounds cool. It sounds badass. Your mind can just like create all this cool shit around them.
You have an idea of a story.
And then nothing. It's nothing. Like, you know, when in old cowboy movies, when they would have like when the black hats would have their cool gang and then the white hats would have their cool gang and stuff like that. But no, we just don't like, I just thought of it today and like, they do nothing.
They do nothing.
They're
they
not
do nothing.
There.
And it's almost worse that they come back in this film because it's like, oh, that was it? That's what you were going to give me? That was it.
A mediocre fight scene against like a group of knights that don't matter and haven't done
so
anything.
Disappointing.
Yeah,
it's just everything about it, like everything that you thought you were gonna get at the end of The Force Awakens, you get the worst possible outcome of it, basically.
For real. Sorry about derailing it. I had to just say it.
Yeah. Okay, so Palpatine then offers, and oh my god, this is the next one. It's just endless. He offers Kylo the chance to join the Final Order. Like, that's what they call it, the Final Order. It's like, what the fuck? And then we see thousands of Star Destroyers rising out of the ground. and they have this massive fleet out
Who's
of
been
nowhere.
building them?
This is the dumbest shit
What
because these are the unknown
contractor?
regions. These are the unknown regions. Like, did
Well,
they build them
clearly
there?
somebody
Did
knows
they
that
bury
they're
them there?
there.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
How can you have all of this? It would make sense if they were like old Star Destroyers, that this was just like a
Like Clone Wars era shit or something.
yeah, Clone Wars era shit, and maybe like they had some drones that were updating the tech or something like that. I don't fucking know.
Or like separatist stuff, like the stuff that the you know, the droid, the other army used during the Clone Wars.
Even have like some fucking droids or some shit. I don't know, but like there's no explanation. Who's been building this? What contractor in his right mind went to the unknowable regions and built this shit? It clearly wasn't Palpatine using the Force to build it, because he's too lazy to even manipulate one lonely lost kid.
I don't know if we talk about this, but it kind of reminds me of like in The Dark Knight Rises, where like teenage boys were going down into the sewers.
There's work down in the sewers. I'm like, why? You live in a major city.
I'm working in the unknown regions. I'm commuting.
Like,
this is ridiculous. This is like the first like 10 minutes of this film. Like, they've hit us with like one after another, like totally just like brain dead ideas that just don't make any sense.
yeah, but the thing is, at least in The Dark Knight Rises, there's a level of like poverty. There's a level of like, they live in an orphanage. There's a level of poverty. Maybe they just want to make desperation. Exactly, desperation. It's still a stupid fucking idea.
It is,
but
but you're getting paid. Like, they're definitely getting paid.
You're probably getting paid. You
go down into them sewers.
You go down the sewers, do whatever the fuck they need you to do down in the sewers. You probably get paid thousands of dollars, and then you get to go home and like buy shit. Like, teenage boys are gonna buy a shit ton of stuff when they get money. Trust me. And so it's like they do. But like,
oh my god. Yeah, it's like, it's so ridiculous because it is utterly brain dead. we're just like throwing in brain dead ideas.
I love how Joseph Gordon-Levitt's reaction is like, in the sewers, and then he just no follow up, just like, you're a cop.
Yeah, maybe you want to go down there and check out what's going on.
Are you supposed to ask questions? Oh my god. Well, that's what cops do, you know? They just listen to people and don't actually do anything.
Yeah. And he was the good cop, by the way, too.
Good cop.
Oh, yeah. So then, basically, he tells Kylo, you know, kill Rey and become the new Emperor. She's not who you think she is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Another setup. Yeah, so this is utterly ridiculous, but that's how the film starts. So then we see Poe and Finn, and they're playing that game with Chewie, the space chess on the Falcon, and then they get this transmission from a spy. So then they go and they pick up this transmission from the spy.
Oh my god, the spy.
Yeah, the spy stuff is fun.
Oh god.
They get attacked by like 24 TIE fighters, and so they're like, you know, trying to evade them. Poe does this light skipping stuff, which is cool visually. And they're able to kind of get away from them. So then we see Rey training with Leia on some planet. And yeah, Leia's like her master, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what did you think of like how they handled the Carrie Fisher situation? She passed away in 2016. And they basically decided to use some like archival footage to put her in the film. Instead of doing a recast or instead of changing the plot. So yeah,
well, you wouldn't have been. I don't think you would have been able to recast it.
Not without people complaining.
No, not without people complaining. It's. I mean, I think they did the best they had, the best they could with what they had. Honestly, it was just. I had the same feeling about it when she when she gets blown up in the Rise of or in the. Whatever thank you. That fucking movie.
Whatever the name of these goddamn movies are.
Yeah, just kind of meh about it.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate because it seems like to me, like basically their idea that they had was like every movie was going to be sort of like about one of the Han, Luke, and Leia characters. It's like the first one's about Han, the second one's about Luke, the third one's about Leia. And then, you know, she died, and so that kind of threw a wrench in their plans. I don't know. I almost wish that they had have just sort of rewritten it. I mean, it's so weird too, because like it's almost like would have been better if they had have just like when the thing got blown up, if she had just died in Last Jedi. I mean, that would have been a shitty way to go, but like,
but then you have Duke. Then you have Luke die later.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's kind of like, and they each one of the original trilogy or trio die in each movie, which I actually just realized.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it before. Yeah, maybe having them both die in the same movie would have been too much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is another part of this. Like they're in an unenviable position with a lot of these things. Because yeah, it's hard. There's no really good answer.
I feel like they would have been damned if they did and damned if they didn't. You know what I mean? There's totally. This is one of the few things where I'm just kind of like, maybe they just did the best they could with what they had, and maybe what they had wasn't that much.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's tough. So then we get like Poe and Rey are like fighting. They're hella mad at each other, squabbling like a married couple or something. Then they decoded the message, and then we get another one of the great lines in all of cinema. Somehow Palpatine returned. Poe is forced to say that. Just
Palpatine's returned. It's like,
just absolutely lazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like against Palpatine coming back, but not like this. Not like this. This is the laziest possible way to do it.
Do we ever find out how he comes back? Is it just like the Force sustaining him or some stupid shit like that? But he looks like a zombie and he's just dumb looking. It looks like a cheap Halloween costume. They put no effort into it whatsoever. Like no effort. There's no effort made. Like, ugh.
No, seriously, like this is a justification. Somehow Palpatine returned. That's it. That's all you get. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing.
Okay.
So then Rey looks through the Jedi text, and she says that she needs to go on a mission to find where the Emperor is on Exegol, so she's got to go MacGuffin hunting. And then Finn and Poe are like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna come with you." It's like, okay. So then we see Kylo. This is just like sort of emblematic, just like a small thing, but it kind of makes a point about how messed up this whole franchise is. So he's reforging his helmet. It's just one of those things where there's discord in this whole trilogy. It's like they deliberately had him destroyed in the second film, and now he's reforging it in the third film. It's like, choose a side.
It's like the emo kid who like tore up all of his like favorite posters or shit, and he's just taping them back together.
He's taping them back together. Yeah,
he's such a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's just
God.
Like you can tell they were totally like, this was not thought out. It's not because it's just like,
well, it's almost like freaking J.J. Abrams is going like this to Rian Johnson. He's just like, hey, see what it did? See what it became? It feels more like it became about one-upping the previous director and saying, no, I'm going to do it my way. Well, no, I'm going to take my ball and go home. That's what it feels like, because I think there was thought put into some of these things, like him reforging his own helmet. I think is definitely J.J. Abrams being like, fuck you to Rian Johnson. I think it's a clear and present day. Fuck you. Like, I think it's a genuine, like, I'm going to take what you did, and now I'm going to do what I want, what I should have done from the very beginning. Like, there's something to be said about having the same director for every movie in a trilogy or a franchise. Not saying that it doesn't work by getting other people. I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe has proven that you can have different directors for different movies, and it works depending on what the material of that movie is. Lethal Weapon franchise had the same directors for every single movie, and the continuity works, and the story works. So why didn't they just have JJ do all three movies? I don't get it. It's just
it was a mistake, and it was a mistake. I don't think there's really any other way to say it. So
preach.
I mean, Kylo at this point, he's a puppet. of Palpatine, which is another.
So he's a
sort of
puppet
sad-
again.
Yeah, he's a puppet again, and it's just kind of like
He lets it happen.
he demoted himself, right?
He's such a follower. He's not a leader in any way, like Vader was in some ways. Yeah, granted, Vader was a follower of like the Emperor and shit like that. He was definitely not 100% his own person. But Vader was a leader in a lot of ways, and it sickens me that they're trying to make there's supposed to be any kind of comparison between the two. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm giving Vader too much credit because he's just a better character.
That's a lot of it. And Kylo is like, at least the acting is like some of the best stuff you get in this whole trilogy.
His acting is pretty good. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad actor or anything like that at all. The character,
The material is dog shit.
The material is dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. And I feel like I see Adam Driver's veins straining to give a good performance through the crap that he's given.
Yeah, so in this meeting, one person dissents. It's kind of like some offhanded line. Some like Hux is like, "Oh, you don't like?" He's like, "You don't like my mask?" He's like, "No, it's fine." And some other lady's like, "Yeah, it's really nice." And then another guy, kind of says like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't like align ourselves with these Sith." And so he force chokes him onto the ceiling, kills him, and he's like, "Go hunt the scavenger." And so they go after them. So then we go to another desert planet, and the aliens are having this festival, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, they're having this cool ass peaceful celebration of like their harvest or their culture, whatever the fuck they're doing. And then our three characters come along and be idiots and completely just ruin it.
They ruin their little gathering. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like a Mardi Gras kind of thing because like someone gives Ray some beads.
Yeah, look cool.
This is kind of fun too because she sees like these little children like they're watching a play and they're laughing.
I know, they're so cute.
Yeah, they're really cute. Yeah, and again, this is again one of the things that's really well done in this trilogy is like, they had those were puppets and like they look really great.
Yeah, they look good.
And there's a lot of puppets in this scene that look really really great. Like if this was done like the prequels, it would be like the sand would look flat.
Oh my god, yeah.
She'd be talking to like a dot or something. Like here's the little ball. You're talking to this little girl, and she's gonna give you some beads.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, like the special effects and the practical effects are definitely just so much better. So much better.
Yeah. And then we get this whole thing like the little alien girl asks her family name. And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And this is
wink. This is
another.
It suddenly means something.
Oh my god, this is another woo boy. So then she like sort of has this whole thing with Kylo, and like another one of these Force Skype sessions.
It's like, "Hey, babe, stop."
Yeah, basically.
What you doing?
It's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna offer you my hand again. This time you're gonna take it." And then he like takes the beads from her. He's like, "Oh, I know where she is."
He's such an asshole.
Yeah. This is also, again, this is a setup because now, they can like actually interact with things that they have between each other. Like they couldn't totally, they were kind of getting there before. Like he could feel the surf, he could feel some other stuff, but now it's like,
yeah, he keeps forcing himself into her mind unwantingly, and it's just like, "Tell me where you are. Tell me where you are." Yeah. You didn't turn your location on your phone.
Yeah. You weren't answering my text, so yeah.
What girl has guy friends?
Yeah. Who gave you those beads? Did you show him something?
Did Finn give you those beads?
Yeah.
I think Poe's looking at your butt. It was like, no, Kylo, we're not a thing.
Oh my god.
Toxic bitch.
Yeah, he's hella toxic. He really is. Like, could you imagine like having a toxic like boyfriend and he could just like
I don't have to imagine it. I don't have to imagine that, my dear. I can laugh about it now. I'm okay.
Yeah, because you're out of it. You're in a much better place. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years later. Oh my god. No, but seriously, Christ. He is the worst.
Yeah, he's
okay, I just have to say something. You know what's so funny about this? My ex loved Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I mean, he could probably totally understand him,
Like, girl, all the red flags.
Right?
Ray, get out. I can show you stuff that you would not believe. Okay, but seriously, sorry. I'm crying. I'm literally...
Oh my god.
Oh my god. But yeah, he's a dick.
So funny. I dated Kylo Ren. That's basically what you're saying.
I literally dated Kylo Ren, and it's not fun.
Jesus Christ.
Learn from me, young ones.
Yeah, stay away from these type of relationships. Stay away. They're not gonna change. There's
Oh,
not
no,
like
they're
gonna
not
be.
change.
There's not gonna be like, oh, he sees his dad's ghost and then he becomes a good guy. No.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. They need serious therapy. And the thing is, again, this is just so on brand for Skywalker men. Thank God we never saw Luke in a relationship. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall and was like, you know what? I think I'm actually. Maybe it skips a generation.
Yeah, I mean, it might. Yeah, we never do see him in a relationship. But it's bad. Yeah, Kylo and Vader, Kylo and Anakin like have some real relationship problems. I mean, it is toxic.
It really is. And
obsessive. You know, there's that obsessive thing, like, oh, she's the one for me, and I
projection,
have to, like,
a lot of projection going on there, manipulation, gaslighting. It's all there. It's like the Skywalker men suck.
And the other thing too is like it's always this like, oh, I'm gonna show her. I'm gonna like, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to show her.
And I'm gonna take her with me, and I'm gonna like fix like. We're gonna.
I don't need to be fixed. I'm gonna fix her because her not seeing all of my great qualities is the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. Nah, dude. Okay, so then like they get into the situation where the stormtroopers after them. They get saved by Lando. Lando shows up. It's kind of cool. So then he says, "Oh yeah, me and Luke, we were on the trail for these Sith wayfinders, but the trail ran cold. Blah blah blah."
Why did we get that movie?
I know. You know what? I really feel like I, honest to God, feel like that was like. That was what the sequel would have been if JJ did the sequel to The Force Awakens. That would have been.
I would have loved to have seen that movie. I would have loved to have seen Luke and Lando going on an adventure together. Yeah. It's like when he said that, I'm like, but I want that. Why
I know.
This?
Like, can I get into that movie instead of this movie?
Yeah, can I? Excuse me, Usher. May I go to that film?
Oh my God. So then they're pursued by these First Order stormtroopers on speeders, and then they start using these jetpacks, and they're like, oh, they fly now. So they kill them all, though. You know, they're stormtroopers, they're useless. And then they fall into some quicksand, some sinking fields, and they get sucked in to a cave. And then there's this weird thing about Rey and Finn, and it's like, oh, I never told, like he says to her, I never told you. And we're left to wonder, like,
and then they do nothing with it.
I mean, I can guess. I mean, my guess is that it has to do with him being force sensitive. That would be my guess. But they never tell us.
It could be, hey, I never told you I'm force sensitive. Hey, I never told you that I loved you.
Yeah.
Hey, I think that our storyline is getting written out so that you can be in love with somebody else.
Hey, I never told you, but like, Kylo Ren, like, is a really abusive guy, and I just, you know,
he tried to kill
us. I talked to his ex-girlfriend, and he chopped her head off.
Yeah, just not cool. I cleaned up all his girlfriend's bodies. You know, I threw them into the incinerator.
Right?
Like, he's just not a good dude.
He's not a good dude. She's like, oh, you don't understand. That's the thing that's fucked up too, because now they make Rey into the girl who's trying to fix him. It's really bad.
Nah, man. Really if you have to start making excuses for your partner, then there's a problem. If it's not just like, he just belches really loudly, or he has some weird bodily tick or something that he can't control. That's
he snores.
But like, oh no, he tried to kill me. But I think there might be more to him.
He wanted me to join him in running a Nazi empire, but you know, I can change him.
But I think I can change him.
Oh, the Force showed me that he's actually good, and so I can make him better. Like that. That's actually legitimately what the plot line is.
Yeah.
Like that's
like, nah. They don't get better.
But the Reylos love it. They love it. So I don't know. Can it be wrong if the Reylos do like this relationship?
A lot of things that can be wrong.
One of the things I was reading about, I don't know if you've watched House of the Dragon.
Nah, I really don't want to.
Okay, yeah. So there's a you know, I mean it's Game of Thrones, so there's always some weird relationships, but like, you know, there's a lot of Targaryens, and there's this relationship that forms between a Targaryen and his. It's like the teenage girl and her uncle, who's like in his 30s.
A niece and her uncle.
Yeah,
that's disgusting. Why are we putting that on TV?
And on top of that, like there are people who are like ship that relationship.
This is so messed up. Like, I know
Yeah.
that from what I remember watching of Game of Thrones that the Targaryens did intermarry, but that's
Yes.
one thing from just having a throwaway line. Oh, the Targaryens intermarried. Like, hey, so did a lot of royal families in
Yes.
real life. But it's another thing to see it, and that's disgusting. Like, that's
Yeah.
not okay.
Now
Like,
they don't like get together in the show, but they definitely, there's a lot of flirtations. There's a lot of, there was a scene where they, they go to a brothel together. Yeah. Oh yeah, that happened just like last episode that came out.
you're putting that on TV for an impressionable young audience who can
And
easily watch it.
she's like 15 or whatever. But like, to me, the thing, like I get that, like it's super creepy and it's weird, and that's like the Game of Thrones universe is full of this disgusting stuff, and that's like kind of the point of it. But like, to me, to be a 21st century human being and to be like, yeah, I like this relationship, to me is on a different level.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Craven.
That's not okay.
But it just shows like I don't know, there's something, I don't know, people, like there's a reason why these toxic relationships happen all the time. Like, people are just like, they justify it in their head. Someone, oh, he's hot. Oh, he can do this. I can fix him. He's going to be different. He's going to do these things for me. And then the fantasies get even weirder. It's like, yeah, well, he's only going to kill people I don't like or whatever, I feel like that's always a part of it. It's a weird power fantasy, like, I'm going to control the bloodthirsty man, and he's going to kill my enemies.
If the uncle was, is it Matt Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm not surprised. If the uncle was a 50-year-old, ugly, fat, gross, unattractive man heaving over a 12-year-old girl, would you still think it was hot? Is what I want to ask these people. Yeah. Like, what is fucking wrong with
It's really
you?
interesting that you say that, because that's basically another part of the show, because like the king, his wife dies, and then he gets set up with a teenager who becomes his wife. No one's like in love with that relationship. Well, yeah, I mean, he's literally decaying. He's got all these diseases. His arm is about to fall off because he has some kind of disease that's eating away at his skin, and he's knocked up his wife, who's like a teenager, multiple times. Welcome to Game of Thrones.
Again, it's one thing for someone to be like, oh, the Targaryens always interbred, and we can be like, oh, gross. And then you actually see it, and it's just kind of like, yeah, another reason not to watch the fucking show. I don't need to see that shit. I don't need to. I can literally, history is full of it. History is full of uncles marrying their 14-year-old nieces, and we're like, oh my God, what? That gasp, pearl clutching. And then you're just like, oh, but it's Matt Smith, so it's fine. It's like, you're fucked
right?
up. You're fucked in the head. There's something wrong with you. You need therapy.
Yeah. I mean, like, I gotta say, for my personal taste, the show is good, and it's kind of hard to look away from it, because it's like they're so good at like creating the drama, because everyone has a point of view, and you have a feeling about every character. That's the thing. Even if you hate them, even if you love them, even if you feel for them, you feel something about them. And it's kind of hard, because you're like, oh man, what's the next thing that this character is gonna do? And it never lets you down. It's always like, oh, that was really crazy. But they do, again, there's all the sexual stuff and the weird stuff, and the Targaryens makes it another thing when there's the incest part of it. But yeah, I just want to bring that up, because like, these it's so weird to see people, modern day people, standing toxic relationships. Like, this is not okay.
I mean, my only hope is that maybe something will come where like maybe the girl character will be like, yeah, maybe this isn't okay. Maybe I'm actually being groomed or something like that. But that takes years to actually realize.
It's straight
that takes literally decades to actually realize, oh, I was being groomed by my uncle. What's his power move? Is there something that he's going to gain from like fucking his niece?
His niece is the heir to the throne.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why. Like, that sounds like something he wants to get in on. So, gross.
Yeah. And then like, there's like a scene where like, so he's married to this woman from the Vale, who he doesn't like, because she's got a strong personality, and then he like meets up with her again and kills her. So basically, he likes women that are, like, kind of, they don't talk back, they're
subservient,
submissive, yeah. And
wow, none of this is coming as a surprise.
And so he's married to a woman who's like a very strong, like, and it's funny too, because he's like the character, he like they kind of make it a point that he has erectile dysfunction. Like there's a lot of times where he like has sex, but he can't like, you know, finish the deal. And then like his wife sees him and like, oh husband, have you come to consummate our marriage, or have you come to have sex with the sheep?
Ugh.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's great.
Yeah, incest will make
Game
you
of
have
Thrones.
erectile dysfunction. Actually. It's because incest is bad.
That might be why.
That's probably why. It's probably because your parents were related.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Anyway, so after that aside, so down there they find the Sith dagger, and the Sith dagger has inscribed on it this location to the Sith Wayfinder. So now we've gotten to the point in this film where we have a MacGuffin that we're using to find another MacGuffin. Like
I was just gonna say, like, this movie's full of MacGuffins. We
like
should have just called it Star Wars, the MacGuffin case, the case of the missing MacGuffins. Like,
I don't know if I've seen it. I can't really think of a film where there's like multiple different types of MacGuffins. You know what I'm saying?
unless it's
like usually,
being very self-aware, like unless it's like
Yeah,
supposed to be a comedy or
like a
something
joke,
like that,
yeah.
like a joke within a joke, like. Ugh.
But now we straight up have a MacGuffin that leads us to another MacGuffin. Like what?
Oh, and she heals the snake, which will come in.
Yeah, she heals the snake.
Important.
Yeah, which is cool.
I actually did like that because I don't know.
Yeah.
I like seeing animals being treated fairly, especially if they're like
Yeah.
scary or something like that. So I'm like, oh, he's just a little snakearoo and he's got a little bump.
Yeah, and so C-3PO, he's able to read the inscription, but his programming keeps him from translating it because I guess it's illegal or something. And like you said, they encounter the serpent, and the serpent's kind of injured, so Rey heals it using the Force. Then we see the Knights of Ren show up, and I don't know, like they're just kind of there, like they're always. Just
I don't
kinda,
remember
like,
them
stalking
showing
people.
up. Yeah, I don't remember them even showing up.
It's kind of ridiculous. Kylo shows up in his TIE fighter, and then Rey does a backflip to like destroy the TIE fighter, but he doesn't kill him. And then what's his name? Finn is like, oh hey, they took Chewie in that vessel. And so then she's like trying to use the Force to like bring it back, and then Kylo uses the Force, and they're like fighting with the Force. And then Rey Force lightnings the vessel and destroys it and kills Chewie. Dun dun dun. And you know, the other implication is like, whoa, like where'd this dark Force stuff come from?
Yeah, because we all know lightning means evil.
Yeah, for real, right? It's like it means evil. Ooh, is she the daughter of a dark side person? That's kind of the implication. So, what'd you think when you saw Chewie get blown up like this?
I knew he wasn't dead. I'm just like, if they're really gonna kill Chewie, like, yeah, okay, fine. But I didn't believe it. I was just like, okay, I'll see him in like 20 minutes or something.
Oh, it was less than that. So then Rey is talking with Finn, and you know, their relationship got really kind of depressing in this movie.
Yeah,
because he's like constantly trying to help her, and she's just like, bro, get the fuck away from me, basically. You don't understand.
wow, the
and
one
like,
nice guy, Poe's an idiot, but he's like the nice idiot.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He's like the dumb jock who's friends with everyone who isn't actually mean. And he's always just kind of like watching them, like with his bag of popcorn. He's like, "What's gonna happen, man? Like, are they gonna kill her?" But yeah, she's just kind of a dick to all the nice guys who are trying to help her.
Yeah. So she tells him about like, oh, I had this vision of a throne with a Sith Lord on it, and the person was me. Then we immediately see that Chewie isn't dead. Like he was like a prisoner. Like it was within like 3 minutes we saw that he wasn't dead. Like, so then they find Rey and company. They go to Kijimi to get the info from the Sith dagger. So on Kijimi, they meet Zori Bliss, who's this kind of like, what's that group called? I forget. But yeah, she's kind of decked out. She looks kind of cool.
And yeah, great outfit. I don't know what she's supposed to do, though. I think she's supposed to help them. I can't really remember.
Yeah, so her and Poe have history. Like Poe was a spice runner. He's basically like a drug dealer.
Cool.
He was running that spice with
Didn't you used to be an emperor or something like that, sir?
Yeah.
in another universe.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe this is just an alternate universe of
Yeah.
Duke Leto or some shit.
Yeah, it is. So then Zori agrees to help him, and then they meet Babu Frick, which is this like tiny, like looking dude who's I guess
cute.
really good at hacking stuff. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we can translate the thing, but it's going to be a complete memory wipe. So basically, we're going to kill C-3PO. That's what they're saying is going to happen." And so then they do it. He translates it, which tells them, the location of where it is. Rey realizes that Chewie is on the destroyer, and so that they have to go and save him. So then they go up there to save him. Rey uses so they're on the destroyer. They get confronted by some stormtroopers. Rey just uses the Force mind trick on him, and like she controls him, tells him what to do. But then they split up, and Rey looks for the dagger, and Poe and Finn look for Chewie. They find him and they free him, but then they get caught, and so then they're going to be taken to be executed. So then Rey gets into Kylo's quarters and takes the dagger, but then she starts having all these memories, and then they force Skype again, and then he's kind of like starting to tell her like about her family history. It's like, oh well, Palpatine took your parents.
Remember that stuff I told you in the last movie about how you're a worthless, meaningless piece of shit, and that I'm the only one who can help you? Believe me this time.
Yeah,
it's like, why does she believe anything he says?
No, I mean, to be honest, like that's the thing that I feel like even in the second film was like, well, maybe he was just like fucking with you.
Yeah, like you have no reason to trust or believe anything that this person says to you. It's just like,
And he's like, oh, there's a reason why. I'll tell you in person. Or something like that.
Okay, so you have important information about me that you want to share, but only conditionally. Okay, fuck off.
Yeah. Only if you kiss me or whatever.
Ugh. Gross.
So weird. Yeah. So then like Hux frees Finn and everyone else, and he's like, oh, I'm the spy. It's like, I don't care if you win, I just need Kylo to lose. Yeah.
we know. Hux.
And then we get the revelation. Kylo tells Rey, you're a Palpatine. You're his granddaughter.
No.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like of all the choices, this one, I don't know if this one's the worst, but like there's just so many things about this film that are really disappointing. Matt Smith was supposed to be in this film too, actually. Speaking of Matt Smith, they even shot stuff with him, and I've read a lot of fun, basically fan fiction. No one knows exactly what he was supposed to be, but people said that he was either like a young version of Palpatine, or they were going to have some justification of like I heard someone said like it would be like a Professor Quirrell situation where like Palpatine was like Matt Smith was the body, but Palpatine was living through him, some shit like that, or like
that's actually not a bad. I don't think that's a terrible idea. And honestly, if Palpatine's cloning all these people, why doesn't he just clone himself into a younger body?
Exactly, and that
like
could have
I
been
don't understand. Basically. Like that would have made so much more sense. Like you're just hanging out as an old man.
That looks like a zombie.
Physically weak. You look like a zombie. You look like shit, bro. I don't know if you have a mirror on Exegol, but you look like shit.
You look like shit.
But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes American movies tend to waste Matt Smith, though. He's completely.
Oh yeah, he was in Morbius. Oh.
He was in Christ. He was Skynet in Terminator Genesis. Completely wasted. Completely wasted actor for American
That film is
movies.
a disaster.
I mean, I know Star Wars isn't like totally American, but you know what I mean. It's a generally American released film before everywhere else or whatever. But like, I feel like American directors just don't know how to use Matt Smith to the best of their abilities. He's a very good actor, and it's just that really pisses me off. Like, again, it's just why would you just keep cloning yourself? Why wouldn't you clone yourself into a young body?
Yeah,
like
totally.
Just reset it. You don't have to keep being an old man, dude. I think it's just they wanted to bring back Ian, what's his name, or whoever it was that played Palpatine.
Agreed. Yeah. So like, what's kind of funny was like, this kind of got spoiled for me because like there are people like apparently there are people who troll people with spoilers. Like I read something and then it was like unrelated, and the person's like, "Ray's a Palpatine," like they just spam that all over. I was like, "What? This is random. I wonder if that's true." So I wasn't super surprised, but this, I don't know. This is disappointing. Like,
Yeah, I
know,
agree.
She could have been a Kenobi, or she could have just been like
Ray from Jakku. Just
Ray
make her
from
Ray from
Jakku,
Jakku,
yeah,
dude. Maybe
who never knew her parents.
Let's just get away from these really terrible families that have bad lineages. Like, let's give something new to a new audience.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't know. It's so, her case is so interesting because it is very strongly implied there's something, because like in the first film she has that memory of seeing, like, you know, them flying away when she's a little girl, and then the fucking dude's like, "Come here, you're my slave now." It's like, oh shit, this is terrible. So there is some kind of like, it seems like someone deliberately put her there.
Oh yeah, I definitely always believed that someone deliberately dumped her on Jakku. We just don't know who it was.
Yeah.
It could have been
the real
anybody.
question, yeah.
And again, Leia and Han consistently look at Rey like they know her. Like there is something familiar about her. Like they know, like whether it's because they actually know who she is, or if it's because the Force is telling them that this is a girl who's very important, or this is someone you may have known, or maybe you knew their parents or something. Like there's hints to the fact that Rey is important. I don't think she was ever supposed to be a Palpatine. It feels last minute. It feels like they're grasping at something, and they're trying to subvert the expectations because I didn't think she was going to be a freaking Palpatine, but like
maybe a Kenobi. A Kenobi would make a lot of sense because he did have a relationship.
The whole assumption is that she's either going to be a Kenobi or she's going to be a Skywalker. The movie's called Rise of Skywalker, so maybe she could still possibly be a Kenobi, but maybe she's still going to be a Skywalker. We don't know at this point. But to have her be a Palpatine is just so fucking random and stupid, because it's just like, oh, we're not just going to subvert your expectations. We're going to drown them slowly in front of you.
Yeah. In a nonsensical way. The most nonsensical way possible. Very disappointing. Yeah, this, to be honest, this is something I can accept. I feel like the Palpatine shit I can't accept. I can't really accept like the deep out in outer space there are just a bunch of Star Destroyers that are just waiting. That shit doesn't make any sense. This is pretty bad, but it's at least kind of justifiable. But it's just like, man, this movie is full of shit. We're just like, man, what the fuck? How did we get here?
You just create more questions. Who is Palpatine married to? Did he even have a wife? Was it just like some rando?
How did he have a kid?
Did he just create life again inside of another person, and then he has a daughter, and then that child has her own child? Or
it was the son. The son was the one.
Well, we don't even see him that much. The only parent
we see him like
is the mom.
2 shots, and we see Jodie Comer is the mom.
Oh, what a waste.
Yeah, and then they both get killed. And we see them get killed by some Sith agent. And that's it.
Why does he want to kill his own son? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it just raises more questions that never get answered.
Not for real. It's like, how did he have a son?
I'm assuming that he just created life again. Like, he was just going around being like, and you're pregnant, and you're pregnant. He's just being a creepy rapist fucking piece of shit. Because who the fuck would fuck Palpatine, honestly? Ew.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's so many plot holes. There's so many questions. There's so many threads that don't get resolved. So that is just like, whoo! What a disastrous.
It's such a mess.
This movie is. So, and then he says all the shit. Oh, we're a dyad in the Force, which is another. Where the fuck did they come up with this idea? It's like, oh, we'll kill him and we'll take the throne. And he's like, take my hand. She's like, no, and she jumps into the Falcon and they leave.
No.
And then Hux gets shot.
Different recruitment speech. Yeah, I love that Richard E. Grant shot Hux. I love Richard E. Grant.
I found the spy.
He is. It's like, yeah, because he said it.
He's super dedicated in this film. It's great.
Like, Oh God.
Because he's the true believer. He's the true believer, Nazi. He's like, oh my God. He's
just
like
he's
like the guy who was like living in Argentina for like 10 years and then like, oh, Hitler came back from the dead.
The
And he's like,
time
fuck it,
is
I'm going to
come.
Germany now. Like, I'm flying to Germany.
Oh my God. Well, he's just Hux from the first movie. That's all he is. Like, yeah, Hux just got progressively dumber.
Yeah.
That's it.
So then they fly to this planet, where they found the location. So then they go. It's Kef Bir, and this is planet has the remains of the Death Star 2 on it. So have you ever heard about that fan theory about the Endor disaster? Have you heard of that?
Maybe.
So this was the Endor disaster, or some people call it the Endor Holocaust. It's this fan theory that like basically when they blew up the Death Star 2, that the debris would have fallen onto Endor and like killed all the Ewoks.
Yeah, but they're partying by the end of it, so I assumed it didn't.
Oh yeah, it didn't. It's not. It didn't happen.
It
It's not a
probably
canon
should
thing
have
that
happened. Like as far as like from a physics point of view, it probably should
Sort
have
of, yeah.
happened, but
It kind of depends because usually what ends up happening, I think we'd have to do some physics basically, but like usually things would just get stuck in orbit and then it becomes space junk. But yeah, some debris probably would fall. I don't think like the whole station would fall.
Yeah, I don't think the whole planet would probably. You could probably just get some blasters and blow up some of the smaller shit.
Yeah, because the thing about it is like, there's no gravity in space other than like from what there is in a planet. So it's not like something's pulling it down. It'll pull it into orbit. So it would have to have enough velocity pushing it in a direction for it to actually make an impact. But if it was further enough away, it would just like, and then there would just be a bunch of space junk out there, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, basically in this film, on this planet, this massive part of the Death Star 2 is crash landed there. Oh yeah, just like one last aside on the whole Endor disaster thing. There's this funny Robot Chicken where they did a spoof of like if all the debris fell on the planet.
Oh my God.
So you see like the little toys and they're dancing and then like all these debris start falling and killing them. It's really funny.
Say thanks a lot, Luke.
Yeah. So then this is another just stupid. So they use the key. This is so dumb. So they use this key. It's like the Goonies were like, oh, does it line up to like find the location of the Sith Wayfinder? It's like, well, wait, hold on a second. How does this key work with the Death Star 2 when the thing blew up? It blew up and it got broken.
Well, the important part that we need for our story did not blow up, thankfully.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Also, who uses keys in a universe like a long ago in a galaxy far, far away? Like, who uses keys anymore? I've never seen a fucking key be used in Star Wars before. Who gives a shit?
Right.
We just want props. We want our prop department to have more to do, like, apparently.
Pretty much, yeah. So then they meet Janna, and she's another ex-stormtrooper, and there's a whole kind of clan of them, and they've all defected. So then, like the water leading up to the Death Star 2 is like really kind of strong. It's like, oh yeah, well, let's do it tomorrow. We'll go up there and when the tide's not as strong, but Rey's like, no, I'm going to do it now. She takes a skimmer and she like goes out there and Poe and Finn are trying to repair the Falcon, but Poe is like, I don't know, they're fighting again. There's some more domestic troubles, as they say. So Rey climbs up into this thing. She finds the Sith Wayfinder. It's in the throne room. But then she has a vision of herself as like a Sith Lord.
Which is pretty cool, actually. I didn't
It
mind
is
that.
cool,
I thought she looked badass.
Yeah,
she
looks
looked
really
scary.
badass. I mean, like, another thing that could have, I think, at least sort of made parts of this more interesting is like if, in the second movie, if she actually turned to the dark side. I mean, that would have been, another way to make this third movie have some kind of interesting, but again, it's just we're replaying the same shit over and over and over. Because we know she's not going to turn to the dark. We know that.
Yeah, we know she's not going to turn to the dark side. That would just be completely ridiculous, and it would just be. I mean, it's just nothing about this movie is compelling. It's not compelling. It's actually very boring for the amount of stuff that's going on. This is a very boring Star Wars movie for me personally. and I just get mad when I watch it. I just get mad because I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like,
yeah.
I think it would have been neat if they had waited the night to wait the following day, and Rey goes on like some kind of like sleepwalking vision quest kind of a thing, and she has a conversation with her dark side self. I think that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that, so
No, unfortunately, yeah. So then she's confronted by Kylo, and Kylo destroys the Wayfinder, and then they get into a fight. So Kylo and Rey are fighting on this. This is kind of cool. You know, there's all these big waves, and they're on this kind of debris. And they're fighting, and then Finn's trying to help her, but then again, she's like, "Get the fuck away from me!" Oh man,
you don't understand. You don't even go to the school.
It's so funny. Like, he just continually gets emasculated.
Man, if I was Finn, I'd be like, I'm piecing the fuck out. You're a bitch. Like, you're being
and like,
really mean
and the other
for
girl,
no
like, what's her name? Jenna is like, she's always there with him, and she
seems pretty into him.
She's like, hey, you know, like, I'm here.
Even Rose, like, Rose was super into him, and he's just like, who are you, women? I don't even know your names because I only have eyes for Rey, and I've already created us a mutual couples Facebook page.
The unfortunate thing is, like, guys be like that, to be honest.
Oh god, yeah. Oh my god.
Get obsessed with the unattainable, you know.
Dude, the amount of times, like,
especially the girl who's obsessed with the asshole guy.
Like, yeah, dude, the amount of times, like, I worked with a lot of teenagers, and the amount of drama that they just bring with them is unbelievable. Yeah. Where he's like, you know, she likes you, and he's like, no, but there's Kimmy or whoever the fuck their name is, or something stupid. And I'm just like, you know, she doesn't like you, right? Like, that's...
Oh, but you don't understand, like she's so cool. We're gonna
no,
be
but
friends.
You understand, like, she bums cigarettes off me all the time. It's like, so she never buys her own. Well, you know, she just, like, I'm here, and I just always have them, and I go over to the store, and I buy her drinks because, you know, she's thirsty, and I'm just like, what are you doing? It's like, dudes do that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but, yeah, girls are guilty of their own weird shit, too, so it's... But Finn is following a very tried and true template.
Yeah. I mean, I do get it, especially, like, you know, they were very close in the first movie.
Well,
they were close, you know,
they were at least friends with each other, and now she's just being a dick to him because Kylo Ren is just like holding shit over her head. It's just like, I don't have time for you anymore, and it's just like, I think you guys went through a lot. You fought them both with a lightsaber at the end of the first movie. Like, he literally almost died for you.
Yeah, traitor. So, what'd you think of this fight? The sword fight between the two of them. Yeah.
Just get me to the next scene, kind of a thing. I'm just like, I know it's going to end. She's going to kick his ass. Like, he's going to scream at her. He's going to tell her that we can rule the galaxy as butt buddies. And it's just boring to me, honestly. It's just kind of, just get me to the next scene.
Yeah. So Kylo basically wins, but then he kind of gets, Leia reaches out to him. So then he drops his sword, and then Rey catches it and stabs him in the stomach. And he's like, oh shit!
Here's your slice of humble pie.
Then she heals him. I know, disappointing. And it's just like, I wanted to take your hand. I wanted to take Ben's hand. And then she walks away.
She just leaves him there.
Walk away. So what's weird to me about this is, like, again, it's like, she's into him, but like she's like, oh, as long as as long as you change, then I'll be into you. Basically.
She's like, he ain't gonna change, boo. Like, what part of him are you into? Because I can't tell.
The weird thing too is, like, this whole thing kind of makes this idea. It's like, oh well, if, like, say the person who's done all these horrible things, like Kylo is a war criminal. But if he does one good thing and he changes sides, does that mean that he's never gonna do this abusive, gaslighty, weird shit again? I mean, do we really think that? Does she think that? It seems like maybe she does, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, Hitler also loved animals and was a vegetarian, so
yeah, and he loved kids.
And he loved kids.
Yeah.
kids thought he was very nice.
Yeah.
And he's a
And
terrible. He was a
fucking
war
Hitler.
criminal. He was Hitler. So
Yeah.
just because you do one nice thing, to only do that nice thing to get something out of it is just, it negates everything.
Yeah. Totally. So then Leia dies. That's the end of Leia. And then Chewie, yeah, they get back and Chewie's like crying really bad, and he's like, in the first movie, no one came to my side. Now that you're here, I don't want you. Get away from me, basically.
Yeah, y'all assholes.
So then Ben is just like hanging out there, and he sees Han, and then Han convinces him to come to the light side, and he throws his saber into the water, and now he's a good guy. Now he's totally just a good guy.
It was that easy. Wow.
So then,
I think your dad tried doing that before, and you stabbed him.
Yeah. So here's a question I have. So they say something about, oh, I can't come home. He's like, no, you can. Is it too late for him to come home?
Yes.
Is it too late? Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. He does not deserve to come home.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to The Hague, at least. Like, it's cool if you help us out, but you're a war criminal.
Yeah, there should be consequences for that. Like
we've seen this dude chop up multiple people.
He literally strangled someone because they said they didn't want to associate with someone like him because he's a piece of shit. He literally murdered someone in the first scene.
Yeah, no, straight up. So someone asked Harrison Ford if Han was a Force ghost. Can you guess what his answer to that question was?
Yeah, I think you told me about this last time. He's like, what the fuck's a Force ghost?
Yes.
He doesn't care, guys. He does not have time for this shit.
No, he doesn't know.
He's flying planes and crashing helicopters and walking away. He's not
for real.
Literally, like, he's not concerned at all with what a fucking Force ghost is.
He doesn't know.
And you know what? He's under no obligation to know what that is at all.
Yeah, no, doesn't need to know. So then now we get the next part of it. So like now that Kylo's turned good, Palpatine's like, okay, we gotta do the, oh boy, we gotta go into the plan. So the Star Destroyer blows up Kijimi. Every one of these Star Destroyers has a planet destroying weapon. What? Just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely positively ridiculous.
Hey, boo boo.
Yeah, I don't know. I
mean, don't you have planet destroying devices on all of on all of your stuff? I mean, I didn't get that upgrade yet from the iOS, so.
Yeah. It creates a little laser out of your camera. Blows up a planet. This is like so ridiculous that it's unfathomable, I'd say. But this movie is full of just ridiculous stuff, honestly. Yeah. Honest to God. But this is where we're at this point.
And now we're here.
Yeah. So then Rey arrives in Octo, and she's like destroying all the stuff, and she's like blowing up all the stuff, and then she's about to throw her lightsaber into the fire, and then Luke's Force Ghost grabs it. Just fun. And, you know, he kind of talks her down. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I was wrong. You need to... She's like, no, I'm bad. I'm evil. I'm a Palpatine. I'm evil. And it's like, no, we saw the good in you. Leia saw the good in you. And then he, like, hands her Leia's lightsaber, and then we get a flashback of the two of them training.
Oh, man.
What do you think of that?
This is honestly the only good part of this movie.
Yeah.
For me, this is the only part, because this was something that I had imagined many, many times as a kid. Just Leia being a badass with a lightsaber, and just stuff we never got. Because whether, you know, like, the technology wasn't there, or, you know, for whatever reason. And this scene actually made me feel pretty good. But it's the only scene that I love in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, that's kind of what, it's like a glimpse into what we wanted, basically, right?
Yeah.
This is what we actually wanted, and we didn't get it. So so then Luke like uses the Force to like lift his X-wing out of the water, sort of like Yoda, and then Rey takes his X-wing to Exegol. And then so again, like, so C-3PO basically killed himself to give them this information. Oh, but then R2-D2 just restores him, so he's back. No problem, he's back to normal. So nothing matters. Nothing matters in this film at all. Like, nothing that nothing matters. It's all completely irrelevant. It doesn't make any sense. So the Resistance, they get the location of Exegol by following Rey, and so they're going to do this final battle, basically.
Yeah.
To save the universe. So yeah, they get there. They're firing on him. There's this massive firefight. And then another fun idea in this movie. So the Resistance does a sort of like infantry sort of invasion of a Star Destroyer, but they're in space. They land on the Star Destroyer and they're like riding like horses on top of the Star Destroyer in space.
Because they can.
I mean, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, where's the oxygen coming from if they're in space though? Like, I don't understand how Exegol works. Is there an atmosphere? Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't people just flying out into space? Why aren't they just dying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't really know if there's anything else I can say about that, but that happens in this movie. So so then
the space horses look cool.
Oh, it's super cool. Yeah. I mean,
the horses look good.
You know, I get it. I get like, you know, we're like, hey, we're going to do this thing. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then, you know, see them actually doing it looks really cool. But come on, guys, like, we're in space. Okay. We have to like have some kind of logic. Like even Star Wars, where there's a lot of sort of, you know, slight like shorthand, like there's sound in space.
There's explosions, there's fire in space. Yeah, I mean, like, all of that's forgivable because we've seen it in sci-fi forever. This was too much.
Too far. It's too far. Yeah, it's too far. It's like some Armageddon kind of shit where the physics just, you know?
I once watched an astronaut watch a scene from Armageddon when they're trying to land on the asteroid. It was great. He's like, I don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
Nothing that happens in this scene could literally scientifically happen.
I had read somewhere that one of the tests that they do for astronauts is watch Armageddon. You have to point out every scientific inaccuracy.
So the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, it's a fun movie. It's a dumb movie. It's a JJ wrote that movie, by the way.
Wait, J.J. Abrams wrote Armageddon?
J.J. Abrams wrote Armageddon.
No way! You know, it's funny. I actually really like Armageddon.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, the fun factor is great. Look, I mean, you're not gonna get some people who drill oil and have them become astronauts. You're gonna teach the astronauts how to drill.
Yeah, Michael
because they're really good at everything else. Yeah. They're really fucking smart.
Yeah, they're actually really, really smart. It just made NASA look dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how NASA could have put their name on any part of that without realizing that the movie was making them look dumb.
I mean, listen, I get it because, like, you know, the working class guy who becomes an astronaut, that's kind of a cool story. But, you know, you could also have a cool story where you teach an astronaut how to drill. And the astronauts are scientists and they're smart and they learn how to drill, and that's kind of a fish out of water thing.
Yeah, didn't Michael Bay tell Ben Affleck to shut the fuk up when he asked him? He's like, why don't they just teach the astronauts how to drill? And he told him to shut the fuck up. And Ben Affleck was just like, so, you know, I did. No, I didn't ask any more questions.
Yeah. There's a great, I haven't listened to it, but there's a great commentary track. I think it's on somehow, what's his name? Michael Bay bribed Criterion into making a Criterion release of Armageddon. And Ben Affleck he is drunk doing the commentary on the film, and he's just like he's letting the tea out, spilling the tea.
I mean, I know I don't want to like make light of alcoholism, but you'd have to be drunk to watch that. I mean, if you had that kind of experience, with
And he's
Michael
laughing
Bay.
about it, which is nice, you know.
And then he went on to do Pearl Harbor too, so
He did,
I'm
yeah.
sure
He
like
had to
he
double
also
down.
maybe wanted to ask some questions like, don't know if this is real. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Actually, no, what's interesting about that movie? I actually read something about how there's a meeting that the Japanese naval fleet are having like outside, and it's really pretty. It's a very very beautiful scene. But it was highly criticized because I guess that would be really against their culture to be having something like that kind of meeting outside. It's almost like disrespectful in a weird sort of way. And I was like, wow, that's actually kind of interesting. I also love and hate that movie at the same time. I love and hate so many Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
They're
That
so
one,
easy to
I don't
hate.
know. That one's kind of there's a couple of there's a number of films that are just like kind of, for me, are massive missed opportunities. That's one of them. The movie Red Tails is another one of them. Like
I
there
didn't see
needs to
that.
be a bet. Yeah, it's a movie about, so like George Lucas for a long time, like he wanted to do a movie about the Tuskegee Airmen, and he did it. He produced that movie Red Tail, but it's just not like, you need to make that movie. It's a very hard thing to make, especially like you need a lot of money, because like to do it right, you need to like get planes from that time and fly them and have and basically they kind of did that in Dunkirk. Dunkirk is like as close as you're gonna get to like really seeing and feeling what it was like to be in those dogfights, and it looks fucking great.
It looks really, really good. I actually watched that with Ryan. He was actually Ryan does not normally like period films, but I started watching just the opening scene, and he was like hooked, like immediately. And then especially the stuff with like the planes, which we're actually going to go and watch some planes today. He thought it was really, really cool. He's like, "Is that actor really flying the plane?" And I'm just like, "I don't think so, but like, I think elements of it are probably hyper realistic." But he really enjoyed a lot of that stuff, especially.
Yeah, Dunkirk is like, to me at least, the closest to what you're gonna get, and it's beautiful, and especially the way they did the photography, it's like phenomenal.
Oh, the last moment of Tom Hardy trying to get the flaps down or his wheels down, and he has to do it like manually, is just like very harrowing. It's
amazing,
harrowing.
especially like when it stalls and he's like flying and you can see the coastline from the plane.
Oh, doesn't he like shoot down the last plane when he's just gliding? He's run out of gas at that point,
Pretty much. Yeah, he basically runs out of gas. Yeah, he shoots down the last plane right before they're gonna bomb somebody. So he saves them. He saves like one of the last ships who are gonna like take some people out, and then he stalls, and then he lands. He burns the plane, and then he gets captured by the Germans.
Yep, which is probably really common for a lot of them. But no, like very heroic. I think I don't want to say one person's more heroic than the other at a battle like fucking Dunkirk.
Yeah.
But he was, I think it just goes to show you just what they were willing to do. And just, I have a lot of respect for airmen. I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's supposed to be another, I think it's a Korean War film called Devotion that's coming out. This maybe sort of similar vein.
I feel like every few years we get a period piece war movie of some kind.
It's supposed to be good, but you know, I'm gonna watch that. But like, yeah, I especially like Pearl Harbor, man. They just got to give me a better movie than what they gave us.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's aged visually well. I think it looks better than it has any right to look now.
Oh, they put a lot of money. ILM worked on that, and they did some great work.
Yeah, they did some really, really amazing work. But the whole love story thing, I didn't like. I don't need it. It's like how I feel about Legends of the Fall. I fucking hate that movie, and I can't look away. I need to watch it from start to. I can't. I just can't help myself. It's such a fucking train wreck, and I don't care about any of the characters. And it's just, but I can't look away. It's such a soap opera. But Pearl Harbor wasn't a soap opera, so don't give me that shit, kind of a thing. But
yeah.
That was just a little tangent. I forget how we. Oh, I think we were talking about. What the fuck were we talking about that got us on that?
Who knows? It was a fun conversation, so I'm cool.
Fair enough.
So Rey and Palpatine are fighting each other, and they're in this arena, and there's a bunch of just Sith hanging out there. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
But they're not really Sith, apparently. So or are these guys really Sith? But Kylo Ren's not really a Sith. Where do we draw the line? Like,
I think they're acolytes or something.
The standard.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like
where's he been getting all of these recruits
I know.
from?
Well, like remember in the Snoke in the Jar scene, there are people there. No, I'm still like that's what I call it. Snoke in a jar. Like that's what
Yep.
that is. I'm not gonna call that shit anything else. But there are scientists there. There were Sith, whatever you disciples were there, working on the next crop of Snoke. So there's not only is he there, but there's a bunch of Sith people there, and they've been there for who knows how long, doing who knows what. Never explained. But
Don't know how they got there. We don't know what the recruitment video was.
No, we don't know shit. Like,
Wow.
It doesn't make sense.
The few, the proud, the Snokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
So, there's this whole thing going on with Rey, and then Ben shows up. He's no longer Kylo. No, he's Ben. He's Ben Solo now. He took off all the black stuff. Now he's just, I don't know.
This is my weekend attire.
Yeah, this is my when I'm not killing people attire. I'm like,
this is my Dolce & Gabbana weekend attire. I call it chic mo.
So I got this T-shirt at Abercrombie. It's $180. It's really cool.
But don't tell me when I shop there. But I only get my clothes there because my mom buys my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't actually like it.
Oh my god. So Rey force Skypes the lightsaber and then he fights and kills the Knights of Ren.
Ellie, stop licking or I'm gonna sell you.
Oh my god.
I mean, we already knew that they could like grab objects and shit, so I guess it's not Ellie. Quit it. Sorry.
And then on top of that, he even does like the Han Solo shrug. He does that, yeah. It's a Han Solo shrug, and the thing that he did in Return of the Jedi when they trick all the people like, oh hey, you can come out now because
you don't
we
get
killed
to
everybody.
do that, Kylo. You don't get to do that. That's not yours.
Yeah. So then Ben and Rey like they're gonna fight Palpatine. Then he drains their life force.
Doesn't he like chuck Kylo off a cliff or something?
He chucks him off a cliff. Yeah. He's like, just as I fell, you shall fall. Skywalker.
Something ducks.
So yeah. Meanwhile, in the space battle, the whole galaxy shows up with Lando.
I love how they keep saying we have no one left. There's no one left to call. We can't phone a friend anymore. There's nobody here who's gonna help us. And then there's always people who just randomly just always show up. It's like, where the fuck were you guys 30 years ago when we were fighting this shit? It's like now you decide to show up.
Poe even says like they put out a call for help during the last movie and no one helped them.
No one accepted my Evite.
Yeah, but now they all show up.
But now they show up. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever.
And so, but then, so superpower, so SSJ4 Palpatine like goes crazy and he like shoots this electricity into space and like takes out the whole fleet. Okay. I mean,
it's almost like it's a lightning storm in space.
Well, I don't know. This is getting more and more absurd. So then Rey hears like all these voices of all these Jedi, and so then she fights back. She deflects the lightning and kills him.
If only we had known his one weakness was lightning. Sorry.
So then she dies. She defeats him. She dies. Ben comes back out of the hole that he was thrown into. He brings her back to life. They kiss. And then he dies.
Good.
And yeah, that's basically it. The Resistance celebrates. Chewie gets a medal. He gets Han's medal. He did not get his own medal. So that's still not righted. And then it ends with Rey going to Tatooine, and she leaves the two lightsabers at the homestead, the Lars homestead.
God, who would move into that homestead after a slaughter massacre happened there? That's so fucked up. What kind of person do you have to be to buy that?
Yeah. And so then Rey, she has this new yellow lightsaber, and then this lady's like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." And by the way, so like the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia are like there looking over her, like approving. Yes, you're a Skywalker.
You can steal our name. That's fine.
So, do you feel like this? Do you think this film has killed the Star Wars film franchise?
No. I don't. I honestly don't think this film killed it, because despite what anyone says, they want more Star Wars movies. Despite what anybody says, they want more Star Wars TV shows, and because it only benefits them to talk about it. It only fills their bank account to talk about it. I don't think it's killed it. I think it's killed Raylo.
Oh, it killed Raylo.
I think it
Raylo.
killed whatever chances Ray had of having any kind of more movies of her own. I don't think people will want to see this character back, unfortunately. And that's the shit. That's shitty. That's really shitty.
You know, I think we will see her again, but in the future, like 5.
Give the fans some time.
Yeah, 5 to 8 years from now.
Yeah,
but we will see her again in another movie. There's been a lot of talk about what the next film would be. So like, right when The Last Jedi was about to be released, they're like, "Oh, Rian Johnson, he's going to get his own trilogy." That got killed immediately.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance of that happening.
No chance. They talked about a Taika Waititi film. We'll see if that's going to happen. They've talked about a Kevin Feige produced film. Oh, they talked about Rogue Squadron with directed by Patty Jenkins. And then that seems like it got kind of set back after Wonder Woman 84 came out. So they have been, I don't know, it's been, the prospects are not good. And as of today, like at the last D23, they haven't announced anything. No plans, no dates, no nothing for the next Star Wars.
They're probably a little gun shy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think they're more than a little gun shy. I think they're just kind of maybe banking on their streaming shows for a while to like tide them over, because you still got Mandalorian season 3, you got Andor. I feel like there's another one. So maybe they're just like taking their time, hopefully learning from their mistakes. But I don't think it's killed movies for it now. There's always going to be Star Wars movies. If we waited that long to get the prequels and we hated them, and then we waited not even longer, but we waited another decade or 15, 20 years for these movies, I think people will always wait.
Yeah.
They're always going to make money. They're always going to make money.
They are. Yeah, the franchise is too strong.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's got to put Baby Yoda in it, and it's going to sell. Like, seriously. So, in terms of trilogies, which one is better, the prequels or the sequels for you?
I don't even get to choose the first.
Oh, well. I mean, you could rank them if you'd like.
Probably the original, these ones, and then the prequels. Probably, if I had to rank them, it would probably be that.
Yeah, I think I agree. But man, this movie's fucking bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm being very generous because I have the prequels and then these movies I have to choose between.
Yeah, the prequels are pretty bad too. Like, there's just a lot of. It's kind of funny because, like, when you really think about it, like, of the last 6 movies, how many of them were actually good? Like, that were like Star Wars saga films.
Probably The Force Awakens, I would think would probably rank number 1. Generously, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Generously, Revenge of the Sith. Probably The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Agree.
Then Phantom Menace. Then Clone Wars, and then this movie.
Yeah. Which is saying a lot, because Clone Wars is a disaster.
Because that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. But I'm backed into a corner, and these are the options that I am given.
Yeah, they're not good, but it's a Hobson's choice. Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle with these films, actually, if you think about it. But the franchise keeps going. I mean, despite how disastrous they've kind of done some of this stuff. I mean, that's not even bringing in Solo. Rogue One's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Solo was another misstep. Yeah. Well, I guess any last parting thoughts? What are your hopes for the franchise going forward, what would you want to see in the next Star Wars film? What would you want them to do? Like what kind of story, what kind of plot, what kind of characters? Where would you want them to go with it?
I'd leave the Skywalkers alone. Leave the Skywalkers alone. Like, they've done their part, they've done their thing. I think it's time to get some new blood into this. I don't like the fact that Rey took the name of Skywalker. Thought it was really stupid. Makes no sense. Just say you're Rey from Jakku. That's it. That's how she'll be to me. I think we need to get some new Force sensitive kiddos in here, whether they're actual kids or whether they're just young people. Yeah, I would like to see something like that. Just not. I'm tired of the Skywalkers. I'm tired of the Skywalkers. I'm tired of the Palpatines. I can't imagine that they're the only powerful Force sensitive family in an entire galaxy. That's very hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean they kind of make it seem like it, but I totally agree. I think, I mean, I don't mind Rey coming back. I mean, I would like to see. So I was someone I was subscribed to. She did this really like very extensive. It's like a 2-hour 40-minute video about why she thinks the Jedi Order is like basically evil. Well, at least like I guess the way I would put it is ideologically bankrupt, and like the reason
dubious.
Yeah, and so the reasoning she has is like, you know, the way that they sort of take people away from their families and are against attachment, that's pretty messed up. The fact that when you look at some of the like canon but like cartoon stuff, like basically like they're cool with like having a clone army when the clones are slaves, straight up, like they're enslaved sentient people and some other stuff like that, and you just makes you realize like, whoa, these guys are really, they do some dubious stuff. And so I always felt like there needs to be a kind of a new philosophy of the Jedi Order. Like there should still be Jedi, but they need to be like, hey, the stuff that we did, like not having attachments and, you know, connecting ourselves with the Republic, so then we had to do all these kind of like sort of morally bankrupt things. Maybe we should rethink that. That's one thing I'd like to see them do, like a new order, a Jedi Order that's restored, but like it's more sort of has a different philosophy.
Yeah, I agree, because it doesn't work.
They need the Vatican II. Well, I mean, the Vatican II is not great, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like they need a new kind of philosophy on how the Jedi Order operates. Like Jedi should be able to get married and, you know, have attachments, and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it doesn't work. Like when you take children away from their homes and traumatize them, but also at the same time telling them that they're special, but don't think of yourself as special because that's vain, and vanity leads to the dark side. It's just like, what do you expect kids to just not get fucked up by any of that?
Yeah, and then
you're special,
hey,
but don't tell yourself you're special.
And who saw it coming? He went evil.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. The philosophy doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, it doesn't. You root for them because they're supposed to be the good guys, but they're exceptionally flawed.
Yeah, and let's, you know, like also kind of get into like, let's have a real time period where there is a new republic that's trying to kind of, you know, create democracy in the galaxy. What does that actually look like? What does it mean for them to like have to establish a fledgling democracy? We've never seen.
I mean, Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, did that very, very well. I mean, it kind of gets old after a while, but the whole reason everything happens in Deep Space Nine, part of it is because the planet Bajor was occupied by evil Cardassians who are basically just space Nazis. They kick them out, they finally leave, and now they're just like, oh, well, now we have to rebuild. And they have like a temporary government or a provisional government. And then Starfleet is trying to get them to join the Federation, but the Federation didn't help them when they were being occupied. And there's all this like political stuff that goes on in Deep Space Nine that I feel like you could easily apply the same kind of thing to Star Wars. You know, just replace Starfleet with the Jedi, basically.
Yeah, just, you know, something like that. And again, I think the biggest thing is create new characters, go to new places, see new alien races, and, you know, get away from this like this familial fiefdom.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not Dune. You know what I mean? Like, it's not Dune.
Right.
It's not Game
Like,
of
yeah,
Thrones. Like, I'm tired of the five families kind of a thing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, I'm
yeah,
tired of it. Like, let's have some new blood, like some new cool characters that
yeah.
aren't just going to end up being a Skywalker or a Palpatine. Like,
I don't know if John Boyega would ever come back, but they should bring him back as a Jedi. That's something I'd like to see.
yeah, I'd
I
actually like to see John Boyega as a Jedi. I don't know. I don't think he'd want to.
I think he hates he fucking hates him. I think that's yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Any last thoughts? Any parting thoughts here?
No, not really. Star Wars is cool, but
Yeah,
there's still some shit about it.
yeah. So I
But
think up next we're gonna try and do talk about a couple films that are like not super sci-fi related, and also not a sci-fi franchise. So we were talking about doing Atonement. Talking about
Atonement's good.
Atonement. I was also actually thinking like another one of your favorites could be good. The Last of the Mohicans. That'd be fun.
Love that movie.
yeah, we could talk about that. And at some point, we'll probably end up talking about like at least the Lord of the Rings. Maybe not the Hobbit. I don't know about the Hobbit, but like at least the Lord of the
I mean,
Rings.
if we did the prequels, we gotta do
I
the
know.
movie.
I mean, I watched. So I think the first one is good, and then it feels like it should have been two movies, and then you kind of feel like the second and the third. It's like
I had originally thought it was only going to be two movies. I thought the third movie was kind of last minute. That's what it kind of felt like to me.
yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, yeah, basically there was a bunch of so like really what seemed to have happened was like there was a rights issue. Like MGM owned the rights, but then they couldn't get the money to make the films. It was really weird, and so things got hung up. And because of that, Guillermo del Toro left the project like very last minute, but then the rights got resolved, and so then Peter Jackson directed the film, but it was like very last minute, and so they were kind of not on top of it at all until like the third movie. And so I think that's part of why they created three instead of two. I mean, also at the same time, like if you're a producer, you're like, yeah, well, make a third movie, we'll make another $1 billion. Like, so.
Yeah, and I haven't watched them in a really long time, so it'd be nice to kind of have an excuse to rewatch them again because I think I've seen all of them probably once, at least once. I mean, there's some stuff in it that I like, but
Yeah,
I hate the way they look. Everything about the way they look, it hurts my eyes. Like
it's just kind of sad, and like so I'd read somewhere that like a lot of the orcs they shot them practically, but then they just put CGI over it. For some reason, it's like I don't understand.
It's like the CGI, I mean the practical effect orcs, like just people in makeup look really good. Like it looks really, really good.
I don't understand the decision. Like those are some of the things that kind of perplex me. But I think the first movie is good, and I think the second two are kind of like I don't know.
I think just looking at how much I loved, there's so much I love about the Lord of the Rings movies that when I think I really watched and sat with the Hobbit movies for a while, I was very disappointed in Peter Jackson because I was just like,
I know
it felt like a fall from grace. You know, he didn't like hurt anyone. He didn't like abuse anybody. He just made a few bad movies that aren't my favorite from what I remember. But I was just like, Peter.
I know it's so disappointing because
to me.
Like if just because we can all imagine a universe where the Hobbit movies are just as good as the Lord of the Rings, and just imagining like being able to watch all those movies together and just like being a part of that world for that much of time. It just what, and it's the same creative team, and they just couldn't do it. It's weird.
Yeah, it was really weird, and I was just I was just kind of sad after when I sat with it. I was just kind of sad about it, and I was just.
That's another massive missed opportunity. Is like the fact that the Hobbit films aren't what they like really, really, really good.
They shouldn't. It shouldn't have been 3 movies. The book is what, like 100 pages long or some shit like that. Like
it's like 300. Like
so 300 pages is still a decent size.
The other thing about it is that they include sort of like universe stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like there are things that are like alluded to in the books that are not actually in the books, as well as characters that are kind of alluded to. Like I don't believe Legolas is in The Hobbit, but he's in the films.
I don't think he's in The Hobbit either. I mean, it would make sense for him to be there because he was probably alive during the events of The Hobbit.
He was alive.
But But all that
Mhm.
shit with Toriel, I was just like, she's so like she doesn't do anything. Like it's so
just they made
fucking
up too. Yeah.
it's so fucking lame. And Evangeline Lilly isn't a bad actress. Like
No.
I don't think she's bad. I think they realized there weren't enough boobs in the movie that were doing things, and it was just like,
I mean, it's a
so.
very male-dominated universe for the most part. I think that's I think you know that's part of why they. But then they created that weird love story. It's like, okay, this is unnecessary.
Yeah, let's take our hottest dwarf and put him with the hottest elf. It was just so. It was uncomfortable, honestly. It was just because it felt so forced. It didn't feel natural, and there was no time for there to be any kind of love story. There was no. I'm just supposed to believe that they love each other after 2 scenes of interaction. Like that doesn't make any sense. At least with Aragorn and Arwen, they had a shared history together. When by the time we see them interact, they're like, oh yeah, these guys have like this has been an on again, off again thing for a long time. Like I can tell these two are madly in love with each other. Plus the chemistry between Viggo Mortensen and Liv Tyler is just like radiates from the screen. They look amazing on screen together, and you can feel that love story that she is completely devoted to him, but he's just like, I'm gonna die, you're not. You know, like, is that a sacrifice like you really want to make? Like I can't like live with you doing, oh my god. That whole thing. But yeah, those are movies that I would be fine with doing for sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's what's coming up on deck. Until then, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us through all these Star Wars films and all the Star Trek films. Yeah. So until then, take care, and may the Force be with you.
And live long and prosper.